Hey, Snackers, this is Kareem Iskander.
Hey everyone, Matt DiNapoli here.
Welcome to episode 187 of Snack Minute.
Returning for probably his 20th time, we have Hank with us again today. But he's not going to be demoing something cool that he built or talking about a new course that he built or, all the cool things that he builds. He's actually going to be talking to us about a really interesting topic. I'm actually excited to hear his thoughts on this. And I think the CCIEs out there will as well. We're going to be talking about AI and how it affects CCIEs. But Hank, for the newbies, would you mind introducing yourself, and then we'll jump right into it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm super happy to be back here on Snack Minute with both of you fine young gentlemen. So Hank Preston, I'm a principal engineer and learn with Cisco, and I work on a variety of different topics, kind of around technical education, mastery, our certification strategy. As Matt kind of pointed out, I've been on a few times before showing some demos and prototypes for different types of use cases and things that we're trying to bring, and we have brought out to the community related to topics like CML and network simulations, enhancements and labs and certification strategies. And some of you may know me from kind of a ton of work that I did, feels like way back when, but it may not have been that long ago, around network automation, net DevOps, and all of these other topics.
It was a long time ago.
It does feel, yeah, definitely been a long time ago, but I'm excited to be here as well, Matt. So we're getting a ton of conversations and questions from network engineers from every level, entry to expert, about the impact of AI and what it's going to do on them. And you mentioned the CCIE community. I definitely think that our conversation today is going to be at those, but it's also going to be at all of the people, all the engineers that see themselves as potential future CCIEs. Is that still something that's worth going after? The short version of the answer is absolutely it's worth going after. And hopefully through our dialogue, we can kind of explain why that's the case and have everybody be just as excited about what AI might do for the role of a network engineer as what automation did. And the three of us were really instrumental in kind of helping network engineers make that transition. I'm excited to still be here for the next one. So
we're excited to have you. I think this is something that we hear a lot while talking to folks at Cisco Live, and just in general, we have this conversation internally, Hank, especially at a CCIE level. Will the AI take my job?
Yeah, well, you hit right there at the front part of it, right?
Yeah.
Is AI going to take my job? Network engineers across the board are worried about this. And it's not just network engineers. Everybody's worried about that fact. The short answer is no. AI is not going to take your job. The kitschy answer is somebody that knows how to use AI is going to take your job. I'm not even worried about that, because I think the fact of the matter is we're all going to become consumers of AI, because there's so many different ways that it can really just take away the toil, the things that we have on our plate that we just can't get to fast enough. And there's all sorts of capabilities that AI can do to help network engineers in their day job to be more productive. So no, AI is not going to take your job. AI is going to take some of the tasks that you don't want to do and do those for you. And I think we should be excited about that and be optimistic about finding more and more ways that we can kind of offload some of these routine, mundane, the voluminous tasks that we have to do all the time, constantly, and use our AI assistants to help us do those pieces. So that's kind of where I see the future going, is AI is not taking our job. It's going to take parts of our job away. And ideally, those are the parts that we don't want to do anyway.
We understand that this is a new skill set that everybody needs to get on board and learn, right? Like you said, the future of AI is super exciting. I know I use it daily. Everybody at this point watching this episode, snackers, if you're not playing with AI, if you're not using it to kind of streamline your day to day, it's time. But also it's important to know that you're not alone, right? Because we're collectively learning, and because we're collectively learning at the same time, all of this, you're seeing some great content. I know, Hank, you just released an awesome blog around getting started with AI on a local model and using LM Studio from a network engineering perspective, which is a really great write-up. We'll link it here. But I think it's important to know that you're not alone, and it's important to know that we are here to support throughout that journey.
I think the interesting part of this is we had similar conversations as we were driving the adoption of automation and programmability at the network level as well. Yeah. The interesting part for all this, to Kareem's point, is we're all learning, not just within the industry, whether it be coding, whether it be network engineering, whether it be IT operations, SecOps, whatever it is. It's a global phenomenon thing, right? These technologies are pervasive in the entirety of our workspace, whether it be creative endeavors or business endeavors. And so that's the difference. But it's really interesting because we now have this opportunity to globally kind of work together and kind of figure out how we use these things more efficiently and effectively. And then to me, the interesting part is for those CCIEs out there, where can you find those opportunities for optimization, and where can you find those opportunities to reduce that toil? Because I don't care if you're a senior level network engineer or someone just coming out of Netacad, there's still pain in the ass tasks you still got to take on. And these is where those tools, I think, are going to be helpful.
Well, I think that's a key aspect to go through. Is one of the questions we get a lot is like, what's the future job of the engineer going to be if AI can do all these routine tasks? And I think that there's a couple of sides to that. I mean, network engineers like to engineer, right? We like to get in. We like to jump on a command line. We like to type config T. We like to run show commands. We like to, these days, in GUIs and API calls. Like, we really enjoy that because it feels like that's the task of engineering. I mean, I'll be straight up and honest. I think we will see less of that hands-on, manual, repetitive tasks being part of our day job. And we will be thinking more strategically, right? We're going to have to be coming up with innovative use cases for all of the complex technology that's coming at us. We're going to have to spend our time focusing on understanding our business context and how that's going to fit in so that we can more effectively use AI. So the types of things we're going to do is going to change, and we're probably going to have to become okay with the fact that we may not spend as much time on the CLI. That can feel a little bad if we thought that we built our careers just on being on the guy who knows how to type on a Cisco CLI. Those are some of the things that we're just not going to do as much anymore because AI will be able to do it faster and more consistent. This line that we're having, right, this isn't all that different from when network automation came out and we started to see things like Ansible and Terraform and Python scripts and PyATS. AI is definitely its own unique thing, but it feels to me, right? It feels to me like a nice evolutionary step, like a big evolutionary step on top of what we were seeing over the last decade with network automation moving there. This is just giving us a really powerful new tool to put into our tool chest. And it's something we've been doing for a decade as network engineers. It's human nature to be a little bit worried about the future, but I'm excited, right? I really, and the more, like Kareem said, the more I use AI, the more value I get out of it, and being able to kind of do things faster. Generally, it's the stuff that I'm trying to get off the plate as fast as possible, or I do those things faster with AI support so that I can really focus on the super value add things that require my creativity, my innovation, right? The unique aspects that Hank brings to the job is what I'm going to focus on now, because I don't have to focus on the stuff that is just repetitive and over and over and over again.
It gives you the opportunity to test those ideas out in a way that you could not have done in a more rapid manner. And that to me is the exciting part, because a lot of times we get so tied down to, oh, I got it to work, I can now move on to the next thing. But that might not have been the most optimal solution to the problem at hand. And so where you could have tried potentially 3 or 4 different things, you're like, this works, and I just spent 3 days on it, I need to move on. I think that's another opportunity where especially people at the strategic level and people with CCIEs have that opportunity to say, in this instance, I would try it this way, but maybe this would work better. And being able to go through those rote tasks, leveraging GenAI tooling make it so much easier.
Hank, I want to hone in a little bit on the CCIE specifically, because all of our certifications are an investment of your time and your in your career, and all. CCIE specifically is a huge investment because it's 8-hour exam, hands-on. You have to know what you're talking about. You can't just pass it. There's a lot of studying that needs to come with that, and you are considered an expert at that level. And so, with that, what's the unique value of the CCIE that in today's AI world in organizations?
Yeah, it's the expertise is the value. AI is fantastic and it knows a lot, but I like to think of it kind of like the expert beginner, right? It's one of those things like that when you first get started and you think you mastered something, like you're like, oh, I know exactly how this goes. It's the context. It's the true expertise that's built from devoted practice, like focused practice on something, seeing in numerous different ways of how things could happen, how problems arise, how to bring together technical requirements and business requirements to develop solutions that are complex and novel. That's where the real value of the CCIE is going to come from, is because of the deep expertise, the experience, the number of networks that we've touched, the number of unique and slightly varied challenges we've had, the number of times we've seen some weird thing go off the rails that never should have gone off the rails that we can bring in to understanding kind of how to solve the problems. That comes into the value that the human expert, the human CCIE is going to bring to the organizations, to be able to add that context on top of the AI suggestions, the AI routines that are there. I'm not a huge fan, and I wrote a blog post on this. I'm not a huge fan of the whole concept of human in the loop and the fact that like the humans are just going to be there to like hit the buttons and approve what the AI does. But the more I kind of dug into this, AI is just as good as it is, and as much as we're sending data into it, and that is growing, right? Every week, every month, context windows get bigger, capabilities get bigger. But we're still really far away, if ever, from where the AI is going to be able to kind of consume and understand everything that the CCIE has in their head, right? The years of experience that are there, the dialogue, right? The fact that they were standing around kind of chatting with the systems administrators and the marketing team and the folks from the actual business, and understand kind of what's necessary, and then be able to bring all that together to truly understand what the solution and the technical solution is needed for the company. We have that as the experts, and then we can use the AI augmentation, right? AI will be there to augment our capabilities, to take our context, our novel ideas, our creativity, and help us kind of grow the impact of what that has through these new capabilities that we'll have with all the AI integration, the systems, the assistants, the agentic elements that are coming out, right? It's just going to help us kind of really augment, and what's the number? 10x. Everybody's like, we're going to 10x ourselves by using these tools that are there. All right. That's what we're going to see out of this, because the CCIE, it's the expertise. It's all of that time and energy you talked about, Kareem, to earn that is what we bring to the table. And that is still super valuable. Now, something that's going to be interesting to see, and I think I've talked about this a few times, maybe with the both of you guys, is what does it look like, and how do we actually help people become experts in a world where some of those routine tasks are done? Because I've been looking into a lot of the studies lately about kind of what does learning look like? How does it take to learn? What is AI's impact on learning? And what we're seeing is that in order to learn, right, learning and really internalizing something takes a little bit of friction, right? It has to be a little bit hard for you to actually learn it. If it's just handed to you because a ChatGPT told you or Claude told you or something else, right? It doesn't sink in. That's the area that I'm really excited about, is helping the next round of experts learn and recognize that, no, there's a lot of value in diving back in and truly understanding these pieces. Don't just ask the question from AI and go forward. Just to expand on this for one more moment, I think back to when I first got started as a professional network engineer. One of my first jobs was at a small company, small partner, and one of my first tasks was just to go out and install VPN endpoints. They were back in the day of PIX firewalls, and I was really good at installing PIX firewalls and kind of copying and pasting configurations that I was given from a senior network engineer who had designed them, and then fill in the blanks. But when things didn't work, right, I had no idea what was necessary. Like, it's only until I went and did that and dove in and learned about kind of the phase 1 and phase 2 and what all of these weird acronyms meant that I truly, okay, now I can understand it. We're going to have to do that, right? That's still going to be necessary and super valuable to build the expertise that we need to be the most successful network engineers we can in the future.
Yeah, and that's been a concern of mine for a while. And Kareem and Hank, I think we've had these conversations over lunch in the past where you sit there and you go, at what point are we seeing diminishing returns because the abstraction layer is so far away from the actual knowledge content that we need to have to solve those problems when they do come up. And I completely agree with you that the value of not just the CCIE, but any certification across the board there is that baseline knowledge to get in there and say, yeah, this isn't right. Or this is correct, but it needs some kind of tweak. Those kinds of that minutia that comes in with anything that we do that needs that kind of attention to detail. Can you help us understand more, potentially, to kind of finish up here, the specific advice you would give to two groups of people, CCIEs who have been CCIEs for a while, and what they can do to potentially help influence their organization to adopt these technologies appropriately? And then maybe a little bit longer question here, but the second group, those new CCIEs, or those people that are looking to become CCIEs that are trying to navigate not just the content that they have to worry about at the CCIE level, but being able to interlace the AI tooling that is necessary to be part of that.
Two good questions. And I think the answers are actually kind of similar and related in there.
Yeah.
Many of us have gone through and seen the addition of fundamentally new aspects and tooling that in our lives, right? If I think back to when I was in high school, I had my first computer class taught you this is a mouse, right? And these are the ports on the back of a computer. And this is how to point and click. And these are things we don't teach people anymore because you just you grow up knowing those things. Right now, I think we're at the spot with AI that it is so fundamentally different that we're at this is a mouse and this is an LPT port level of AI. And so for the CCIEs that are out there right now trying to figure out what their value, how to make sure that they maintain value and skills is just be okay with that. Go back to the fundamentals, learn about the nomenclature, learn the jargon around AI, understand the different types of AI and what it can do. Cisco Netacad has a really great course, Introduction to Modern AI, that I took and I found phenomenal. And I've been telling everybody about it since I took it because it's almost like that. This is the mouse for AI. It walks you through the basics. And so, okay, so now I have a grasp on the fundamentals. Once you've got the capabilities and you kind of get over the mystery of what AI is, now we can start to dive in as CCIEs to the level of technical depth that we need to understand, because we're going to be responsible for helping our organizations build these agentic AI infrastructures. And so we have to understand the fundamentals so that we can go and make good strategic decisions about how to figure out what tools make sense, right? What levels of governance are going to be important. Security is going to be huge, right? To make sure I don't want to go down a rat hole of bad AI stories, but it's every week there's another story about somebody's AI use case went off the rails and some database got deleted or something went weird and went on. And so we're going to be responsible as CCIEs to help our organizations implement these types of things effectively. So you're going to have to go out there and learn and aggressively learn what these things are after. It's going to require a little bit of automation skills. We've been seeing base automation skills make their way into our CCIE program. And I'm not talking DevNet Expert, Future CCIE Automation. I'm just talking all the CCIE programs. We've had basic automation skills coming in for about, 8-10 years now. More of that is going to be important because the automation, the fundamentals of APIs, a little bit of data analysis and how that goes through. These are some new things we're just going to have to understand the basics of as CCIEs to help provide and build the best AI infrastructure as well as just the best AI operations tools for our organizations. Because if we don't do it, nobody else is going to. So it's really up to us to do it successfully. For those new folks, right? The folks that are out there, like my son, he's still in high school, but he's looking ahead at a career in technology. This is the time for them to kind of learn these AI fundamentals up front so that they can be ready as their expertise grows from, we'll stick with the networking space, from CCST and Netacad, the CCNA, CCNP, and CCIE, their skill sets around AI will grow as they build. And we've been doing this, and Kareem and I have been working really hard on this together inside of Learn with Cisco to make sure our certifications are getting updated with the critical AI skills at each level as we're doing those updates. And it's not like it's the first time we've ever added anything to the certifications, but this is the fastest we've ever got them in there because it's so important right now.
Right.
And so if you're on the journey towards CCIE, it's just know that we're in your corner, right? We are there to make sure that we're going to help you learn the skills that are important at the entry level, at the junior level, at the senior, and at the expert level. And we'll be bringing you the training material. We'll be making sure the certification curriculum has the skills that are there. And we're learning along with you, right? I talk a big game on a video with the two of you guys, but I spend a ton of time every week just learning something new, right? Opening up a new getting started guide to be like, what is this thing, right? We're all doing it together.
Same here. I think you touched on something that before we close this out, I want to highlight, Hank, is as we're working together on all of this for our audience, our community, it's important that snackers, that we are using AI. We're bringing AI into the things that are relevant to us. We're not trying to put AI in things because we can. It's because it is relevant to your job. And that's really important because there's a lot of noise out there. There's a lot of like slap AI on top of it just for make it relevant and marketing. This is real. The portions that we're focused on is how is it going to impact your job? How is it going to impact your role? And what do you need to know about it? Not let's build an assistant because we can build an assistant. That's not the what we're after here. And that's important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Guys, of course, we could probably talk about this infinitum, but we are at time, Hank. And so snackers, keep an eye out on this channel for more information on AI and how it affects network engineering and automation and programmability going forward. Hank, always a pleasure to have you. Thank you for your insights. Hopefully, we can have you back soon and keep this conversation going. Thank you so much for your time, snackers, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you all.